Good morning, everyone. Welcome to True North. I'm Renata Marino. Excited to be here. It's been a week, but I'm here and excited to talk about an important subject. I hope everyone had an amazing Mother's Day. I did, and it was such a beautiful day in Chicago, but I'm here to talk about managing expectations. This topic actually came up in several conversations this past weekend when I was at my 20-year business school reunion at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. I met with several of my classmates. It's been 20 years, and it was so amazing to see how far they've come, not in just their personal lives, but their professional lives, and vice versa. It was great to catch up. It felt like no one changed. It felt like old times. It felt amazing. But we talked a lot about managing expectations of our families, of our kids, of the teams we're managing. Quite honestly, the amazing talent that was in my class, and it's all of the top schools, and it's really impressive. The level of humility in my class, and I do believe the graduates of University of Chicago Booth. But just hearing the stories of how my classmates navigated their career, even though it was a 5-minute conversation, just overcoming adversity and just really pursuing their purpose, pursuing their passion. Many of my classmates have been through major corporations in the finance world, in the marketing world, in corporate, predominantly in corporate, but seeing them after a 20-year career trajectory, honing down and recognizing what they're passionate about has been amazing to see their journey and to hear their journey. But more importantly, a lot of the conversations was really around managing expectations of themselves and others they've managed, their kids. So a lot of personal stories over the weekend, a lot of professional stories over the weekend. But one of them that stood out was this managing expectations. So I took some notes to stay focused. So I'm just going to talk about certain things. So when we're thinking about managing expectations, I missed one. As if we're managers and we're managing a team, having expectations of our team to meet certain goals, having expectations of our team to manage certain responsibilities. Expectations in our partners. If we've been married forever, if we're dating someone, what are the expectations that we have of our partners? Friends and family. We have expectations of friends and we have expectations of our family. What are those expectations? How do we manage them? How do we communicate them? Our children. Many of us have children. Different age groups. As they get older, we set some expectations, but really it's cultivated when they're little. How do we set the bar of what those expectations are, what we expect from the behavior from our children, doing their homework, behaving appropriately, sharing toys, those rudimentary teachings early on are reflective later on. So what are those expectations of our children? Not stealing, being honest. Those are the foundation of future behavior. And then ourselves, expectations of ourselves. Many of us have expectations of ourselves, especially if we're hitting closer to midlife. We have expectations of where we think our life should be, where we should be in our life. A lot of us are so hard on ourselves that we become disappointed and we hit a rock bottom. They call it midlife crisis. Many of us are doers, pushers, goal-oriented. We have high expectations of ourselves, and when we can't control the outcome, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So how do we manage those expectations of ourselves? So I want to touch upon these 5 key areas. So with your team, if you're in management, in your partner, in your personal relationships, friends and family, your children, and yourself. So I wrote 4 key things that I believe resonate across all these different categories of people or groups of people that I think are the secret sauce to how we can better manage expectations. And this is based on life experience. I am not a psychologist. I'm not an expert, but this is really based on life experience and having the insights to what works and what doesn't work in my own personal experience and what I in my corporate life and also in the startup life and now as an investor. Really trying to, when you're a mentor, when you're a coach, when you're an advisor, when you've been through significant life storms, you learn from these storms. You learn lessons, life lessons, in both your personal and professional. And through overcoming adversity, through making mistakes, you learn what works and what doesn't work. And so I'm going to relay to you 4 key areas that I've learned the hard way. And hopefully this will make your life, both your personal life and your professional life, a lot easier when it comes to managing expectations. So one of the key things I'm going to kick it off with is the first thing, and I think this topic, this guidance is not only a key foundation for managing expectations in all these different areas of our life with different people, but also how we should live our life every day, both online and offline, in-person relationships, interpersonal relationships, whether it's business or professional, and how we portray ourselves in the media online, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter, whatever it is authenticity. We are in this world of social media. We are in this world of perception as reality. We are in this world of trying to gain acceptance from people, trying to gain followers, trying to be an influencer. We are in this pressure to look great, this pressure to appear smart, this pressure to convey to the world that we're experts in our space. What is the false mask is portraying that in an inauthentic way. The credibility that you receive, both in your personal and professional life, it comes from being authentic. It comes from being who you are at the core. Not only does it make you the happiest person in the world, where you can actually be yourself, but more importantly is you can gain significant credibility both in the marketplace and in your personal and professional relationships. Being authentic means being brave enough to state your opinions, being brave enough to state your weaknesses publicly, being brave enough to admit fault, being brave enough to be humble, being brave enough to give accolades to those that deserve it, being brave enough to pay it forward and not always believe there's not enough for you. But in this case, with managing expectations, you come to the table with all these different groups, with your partner, with your team at work, with your friends and family, with your children, and with yourself through authenticity. You approach everyone, even yourself, with authenticity. The second part is communication, probably equally as weighted as important as authenticity. You can be a great communicator. You can communicate with any of these parties, but if you're not authentic, there's no way you're going to get on the same page in terms of managing expectations. You need to come to the table with authenticity, and then the next step is communication. Communicating to your children. What do you expect of them? Coming at it in an authentic manner, not in a dictatorship, not an authoritative state, at their level. You're still a parent, but you are coming at it from their perspective. Communicating to your family. This is who I am. I love you. This is what the respect I deserve. Communicating. To your friends. Hey, I showed up. You were late. I showed up. You canceled last minute. Hey, I feel like I'm always there for you when you're hitting rock bottom. I need you to be there for me. To your team at work. Perfect example. Perfect example. I have a friend. She's a booth classmate. I'm not going to say who she is. She has a great strategy, and I believe in this strategy. And I'll tell this quick story. This is about managing expectations. This is about communication, and this is about authenticity. She is one of the best leaders in all of Fortune 500, in my opinion. She is one of the greats. Thankfully, she's on one of my team, my industry advisors. Excuse me. She was joining a new company. She was brought on to lead this big group. Big, not a middle management, senior, executive. Fortune 500 company, not a startup. Any decisions hits the bottom line, which affects the market. It affects the stock price. Big P&L responsibility. None of the team had lost their leader. I think the leader had been promoted or what have you. This woman was coming in to lead people that she didn't even know, who didn't know her, and she had to gain credibility with them. Lots of people. She had milestones that her boss had set for her, saying, you need to target these numbers, sales numbers, margins. She knew she had a timeline. She knew she had to have a plan. She came in and she said to all, she had a budget. She knew she had a budget that she could use to be able to hit these numbers for innovation. So what she did, instead of being top-down dictatorship, this is what you're doing, team. You don't know me, but I'm telling you what to do. She knew she had to gain credibility and trust with her team. She brought in all the top managers, 10 managers. She met with them. She brought them all together and said, here's the project over the next 2 weeks. I need you, if money was no object, I need you to tell me what you would do with this money, X amount of money, that's going to help you in your group meet your numbers. Money is no object. There's no limits. Go back, do research, create a presentation with numbers, what you'd want, anything. The sky's the limit. They did that. She met with them one-on-one, and she said, at the end of the day, we're going to pick the top 3 as a team, as a group unit, not her picking, as a group unit. And so what happened was they all got to see everyone's presentation, and they voted at the end. And the way they voted was which ones were going to impact the entire division the most, the highest sales numbers. She, at the end of the day, said, we have the money for this. This is what we're moving forward with. Not only did she gain buy-in from the team, but the group was well vested in delivering on the promise. This is how we manage. This is how we generate bottom up buy-in as a leader. Expectations were set because the team built those expectations. Communicating with our partners, that's the last one. Communicating with our partners. This is critical. This is critical. No, our partners aren't mind readers. Our partners, in order for us to have expectations from our partners, first we have to come to the table authentically, saying, and lay it on the line, saying, this is what I feel, this is how hurt I was, this is, this is what, these are the things that hurt me, these are the things that make me feel happy. And then communicate saying, I feel sad when you do this, or I feel angry when you do this, or I feel really happy when you're with me on these events, or I feel happy. I mean, being able to clearly communicate the things that make you happy about the person's actions and how they are, and the things that make you sad, or make you feel hurt. If you don't, and this is based on personal experience, if you don't, and it has to be two-sided, it cannot be one-sided. The other person has to be receptive. So you could be a great communicator and very authentic and saying, like, this is what hurts me and this is what makes me feel great. But the other person has to be receptive. If the other person is shutting you out, it's just not going to work. A lot of couples go to marriage counseling, couples counseling, to be able to break through those barriers, because sometimes it has to be a two-way street. I know a lot of women who are in relationships now, almost 20 years of marriage, and the means of communication has broken down due to resentment, due to and a lot of times it's the individual who's going through a rough time. So, it's hard. It's very hard. But what's most important is both parties need to be receptive, and that's in any of these cases, but specifically in the person that you're living with every single day. And they have to be willing to put in the work to change or to accommodate your needs or accommodate your wishes. And there's also collaboration and compromise. But again, it's communication, but specifically laying out what, sitting down and not having any distractions, but really trying to have focusing on the person and literally talking it out and saying, here, this is what makes me happy, this is what makes me sad, this is what I need from you, this is what I need for myself, and clearly communicating. And that could change over time. And then, okay, so authenticity, coming to the table, being your authentic self in all aspects in terms of managing expectations, communicating, and not just one time. It has to be on a cadence. I think my sister and her husband, they have a date night once a week, which I believe is huge. I think you need to schedule it in with all of us who have children and have major careers. I think scheduling in a date night just without the children, it's just you and your partner, and there's no phones, there's no TV, and there's no distraction. Even like at a busy restaurant, I think quiet, walk in the woods, walk on the beach, quiet talking, no distractions. The third thing that I have, I'll say that will be the last one. The third component that I have in terms of managing expectations is strengths and weaknesses. Whether you're managing a team, whether it's your partner, whether it's friends and family, whether it's your children, or whether it's yourself. First of all, being very self-aware, but communicating what your strengths and weaknesses are. I mean, specifically, when you're in a partnership, an interpersonal relationship, many of us have triggers. Many of us, get upset over something. If your partner knows what your trigger is, obviously they're going to be sensitive to it, but there'll be more understanding if it happens, and then you'll know they know, and there's more. Again, it's communication. Especially strengths and weaknesses when you're a manager for the team. A lot of managers A friend of mine just said this to me the other day. A lot of managers come across as perfect. When you're managing a team, if you're an executive or if you're a middle manager and you're managing a team, we are all not perfect. We all have weaknesses. And, I think there's nothing wrong with stating to your team what your weakness is. And you can say, listen, guys, ladies, team, if you're going to come to me with the same question 2 or 3 times, I just don't want to hear it. Like setting the expectations up front. If you don't come to me, find the answer or whatever it is, really it's like this. It really is. Or even just setting the expectations and being clear and say, listen, I can't handle if you're going to come to me 2 or 3 times. I have very low patience for that. I mean, literally, it is a weakness, not having a lot of patience, but you have to actually communicate that I don't want you coming to me 2 or 3 times. You need to go find the answer, and then, talk to your teammates or what have you. Children, when you have children, and, I've told you that you cannot, grab the toy from Joey, and there has to be consequences, and then also I think this is me having young teenagers that my kids know that, I've gone through several storms and they're sensitive to that. And, saying, hey, sometimes mom needs to, go for a walk by herself. Are you guys okay with that? Or, if I'm tired or we're not going to do, saying that mom needs a break before, instead of being mom is is like Wonder Woman. Mom can do everything. Because then you become very resentful and tired. So it's not really a weakness, but saying, hey guys, we're not going to go on the bike ride. We're just going to chill out or whatever. And then with yourself, I think strength and weakness is really being self-aware about yourself, saying, I need to take a break. This is too much. I've been pushing too hard, too many emails, and making sure that you're taking breaks throughout the day. Or, I worked all day. I'm going to relax. I'm going to give myself a break. I really think a lot of us push too hard and we become burnt out and we can't be our best selves to the people in our lives. Bring our best selves to the table. And then finally, I have here under can manage expectations to the best of our ability and with all these different groups is setting clear boundaries. I think is really important as leaders, as executives, as managers, as investors, with our family or personal life, with our partners, with kids, with ourselves, with friends and family, is to set clear boundaries. And this relates to making sure that we take breaks for ourselves and focus on self-care, because again, we cannot bring our best selves to the table unless we set clear boundaries for ourselves. I'm going to stop working at 4:00. I've been working since 8. It's been around the clock, back-to-back meetings. I took a break for lunch. I need to stop at 4. I'm going to go do float or get a massage once a week. Really setting boundaries for ourselves, for our partners too. I don't like it when you do this. I really need to see you in person. I don't like when you ignore my texts. I need clear communication. Really you have to set boundaries. And then, and even with your family, even if your friends and family, it's setting boundaries. I think setting boundaries isn't being mean. Setting boundaries isn't being arrogant. Setting boundaries, actually, people respect you more when you set clear boundaries with them. With my former in-laws, and they were expecting me to after we divorce, that does damage on my psyche, that does damage. That's just not, it's damage for my, no. And everybody has their own preferences. That's my preference. I need to protect my peace and protect my own emotional strength, psychological strength. And that's not healthy for me and not healthy for my children. So I hope this was helpful. I can relay it again. So in terms of managing expectations, the best way to manage expectations, if we're managing a team, managing expectations for our partners, friends and family, our children, and ourselves, is to focus on being authentic, have clear communication, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and communicate those strengths and weaknesses to whatever party you're talking to, and make sure we set clear boundaries. Hopefully that was helpful. I hope you guys, it helps in terms of managing expectations. I'm going to do cards, which I always end with. This is my favorite part. And I'm going to use my glasses because I can't see anything. Reading restaurant menus has gotten really hard for me. Okay, ready? This is my favorite part. What would be your ultimate birthday cake? I made my ultimate birthday cake. I made it during COVID. I actually made my own cake during COVID. I saw there was a Instagram post by one of my favorite designers, Allison Olivier. I forgot her name. That's the brand. I wear a lot of her clothes. And I think she was I think she might have ordered it. I don't know if she might have made it. It was a gorgeous layered cake and with I think it was candy or nerds, colorful nerds all around. And then when she had a video of when she sliced it, it was a rainbow cake, and in the middle was tons of nerds just fell out like it was like an avalanche. So over COVID, I made myself, I think it was like a 6-layer rainbow cake. Yeah, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple layers. It was huge for myself and my kids. And in the middle, it was literally, I had nerds all around it and nerds in the middle. I have it on Instagram from during COVID. It actually was beautiful and it was really yummy. I like making my cake. My sister is a really good baker. My sister, Monica, is probably the most talented person I know in terms of sewing and baking. And she's really good. She's fondant. She just knows how to do the fondant. I don't. Okay, next one. Would you hope that everybody or nobody remembers your birthday? What's up with this birthday? I want everyone to remember my birthday. I have a big birthday coming up this year. Ooh, I have a really big birthday. I have an awesome birthday coming up this year. I have to decide what I'm going to do. Most likely it'll be in Nantucket. Would you hope that everybody or nobody? I want everyone to remember. Everyone needs to remember. Maybe I want to hide for a little bit, but I do want everyone to remember my birthday. I have a great birthday. Big birthday coming up. Big. If you could time travel and know the truth about any health-related issue, what would it be? Oh. Pandemics. Which iteration of, COVID are we on? I would want to know, it'd be interesting is to time travel backwards, because I was having this discussion with people in pharma who were in my class, and they were talking about predicting, this is what we were talking about. This is actually very academic, because these are the conversations we have over beer and having a hot dog. When a pharma company is predicting how much kits they need for COVID, and they have to forecast it out with production, what are you benchmarking against in terms of what's going to happen in the future globally, not just in your small little country, globally, with COVID? Which version are we going to be on? Which strain are we going to be on? What are the different strains? So I was saying, looking at historic things, what happened with like other viruses. Unfortunately, historically speaking, there's been no virus in our history, globally, I think, in the world, from what I understand. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Where there's been these strains that keep predicting, because you can't predict the future. So a lot of people look at historic trends to be able to predict the future. Any person responsible for P&L, including myself, when I was 31, we had to look at historic. We looked at a lot of data that was from the fitness trends and whatever trends. How do you predict the volume? Any founder should be doing that when they're creating their financial model. But I would like to see the future of these strains, and I want to know how it impacts everything, including mental health. I mean, I'm an investor in health. I would want to know how it impacts everything. Kids' mental health, their future of their health, our organs, everything. I just love having these discussions. What was the worst bridesmaid's dress you had to wear? Oh, it's been a long time since I've been a bridesmaid. I actually didn't really like my sister's. I didn't like my sister's, but the bridesmaid's dress I wore for my sister's wedding, my middle sister's wedding. What did I wear for my other sister's wedding? For my middle sister's wedding, I had a purple long dress. I had just given birth like months before, so I wasn't in the best shape of my life. It was my second baby. We were in the middle of the Mexican jungle at a hacienda that they had rented out. The entire hacienda was the wedding, people. When I say the middle of the Mexican jungle, it was in the middle of the Mexican jungle. There were tarantulas. And you had to drive far. It wasn't like next to the airport. It was like, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was far. In a cab. They didn't have Ubers back then. Through the jungle. It was like Indiana Jones. I kid you not. And it was October, wasn't it? Yeah, right around there. Everyone's like, it's going to be cold, little chilly at night. The dress, I had my daughter with me who was 2, 3. She was the bride's, the flower girl. The dress had like a thick satin, thick liner that, and then there was a layer of like chiffon over it, which I love. That part was actually really nice. This deep purple. There's pictures. I was so hot. It was so hot that night. I was dying. And I remember being in this stall. Somebody was with me. I don't know if it was my mom or someone else in the stall trying to rip out the satin undergarment or whatever liner, and with, I don't know, I think I used my teeth. I literally just was like, get it off. I just want it off. I don't care how much it was. I could give a shit. Like, sorry. I literally wanted to get it off. And so it's funny because the sheer top was see-through, but not at night. And everyone was like, you can't do that. It's going to be see-through. I'm like, at this point, I don't care. So in terms of the worst dress, it was beautiful. I loved how it like covered up all my like rolls and everything because I was not in shape. But it was the worst dress because I was sweating that night and I had to rip it. I don't even know. I think I threw it out. That was a long story, but I thought it was a good story. When do you feel most peaceful? When I'm near the water, when I'm on the beach and I see it and I can hear it and I'm on it. If you could invent a new way to travel, what would it be? Like Doctor Who, when you can get into the telephone booth, the old school ones, and you can just, press some buttons and then it just moves somewhere else. Like Doctor Who. Channel 2, Doctor Who. I know not everyone knows who that is. That's okay. That's actually a good thing. All right, you ready? Last one, and then I have to leave. Lee Ann Tucker and Chelsea Brigante. This is a girl power one. They are the founders of Loliwear, and lowly straw. The world's first edible and hyper-compostable cups and straws. How amazing is that? Yes, exactly. What are you best at? Recycling, reducing, reusing, or refusing? Recycling, reducing, reusing, or refusing. Ooh. I was talking to someone over the weekend about being vegan, like refusing to eat certain foods. Recycling, reducing. I would say oh man, I'm not good at any of these. Okay, sorry, I'm being honest. Maybe reusing. No, I think I'm better at refusing. Yes, I'm better at refusing. It's more the principle. I definitely would say if I had to really put a stake in the ground, I would say refusing. I'm pretty obstinate when it comes to certain things. If I know a certain person uses something and I don't like that person, I'm not using it. Or I don't agree. I don't care who the person is. I could care how famous they are. Hey, if you're not nice and you're mean or you do this certain thing or this is your behavior and you use this thing, I'm not using it. Anyway, have a great Monday. I hope this was helpful. I enjoy it. Before I leave, I know I had this on my podcast before. I always talk about her. This is her book. Hopefully one day I'll have my book, but this is, I will have my book, but this is Glennon Doyle's Untamed. I love this book. It actually relates to the topic today of managing expectations. This book, the premise is really how society has this expectations of women, our role, our wife, role as wives, role as partners, role as mothers. And since it was Mother's Day yesterday, these expectations of us are inflicted from what the norm of what society expects, but it really should come from what we expect of ourselves and how we view our lives and what we want in our lives. So I just wanted to shout out to Glenn, and I really like her a lot. I love what she stands for, and it's really about being your authentic self, being your authentic self, and staying true to who you are at your core, and not letting outside influences dictate who you are, how you behave, and making sure you stay true to who you are as an individual. Anyway, happy Monday. Hope everyone has a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye.